We've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. The Drive-In Theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, dudes? It's October. We're here. We've spookified the set just a little bit. If you're watching in the live video feed on our Facebook or our YouTube Live / the Drive-In Speakerbox, you can check out all of our fun, spooky accoutrement in the background.
Oh,
we
man.
got lots of little movie references and
We gotta
fun.
switch our Kiss action figure to the Psycho Circus ones.
Oh, we do.
Or like one of like the like the Todd McFarlane creepy ones.
Oh, the Todd McFarlane creepy ones. I think I have a couple. I need to go get them. They're in the storage. I'll come and change those out for. We've got more episodes. October episodes is going to get even spookier in here. Who knows what's even going to happen?
I know, dude.
As we get close.
It's our first actual official October. October showed up hard with the autumn attitude, huh?
Dude,
As soon as it was October, it was
kicked
like,
the
hey, guess
door
what?
in.
It's cold now and rain.
I love it. If you live here in Northwest Arkansas, where we broadcast from, it's there was a big old storm. This is like rain, and after that rain, it was cold. And I mean, not cold. I mean, it's like 63 degrees or something like that. But that
20 to 30 degrees colder than it was.
no, and so it feels great here in the studio. We didn't have to run the AC all day to chill it down, so we're excited to be here. But we're going to be reviewing movies as we do. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, the Boom Operator.
I'm the Grip.
And tonight, we're going to be reviewing later in the program, we're going to be talking about, as the sign says, we're going to be talking about Joker and the Bollywood film War. So I went and saw the Joker. The Grip went and saw War. We're going to be talking to you a little bit later in the program. But let's do a little news, a little weekend stuff that happened, because stuff happens every week, and we would like to talk about it. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but it has been made somewhat official. That Kevin Smith has said that he is, yes, definitely making a Clerks 3,
Ew.
which I don't think is necessary. A lot of early Kevin Smith films exist in an era that's gone. And
Yeah, Clerks 2 did not deliver. Also, he's announcing this before the Jay and Silent Bob reboot comes out. What's that, next week? Which, that's a Fathom event. So if you want to see it on its official debut, October 15th, I think is what it is. It's a Fathom event.
Speaking of Fathom events, Alien's going to be coming out, this next week?
Yeah, 40th anniversary.
That's
Alien,
crazy.
you can watch that.
Going to go see it.
No one can hear you scream in the theater.
As a reminder.
Except they can. Don't make noise in the theater.
Yeah.
Be kind.
For the rest of the show, as a reminder, I'm going to have this face hugger that's just like hanging out like on my head or shoulder. It's gonna be a shoulder hugger. Here we go. So there we go.
Mallrats
be my
too.
buddy.
No one wants that.
Oh yeah, Mallrats too. That's unnecessary. Unless it's like about a dying mall. It has more of a premise than anything else, like a dying mall.
Yeah, but Brody is probably like the better of all of the characters outside of Jay and Silent Bob themselves.
Yeah.
In all of his movies, and if it was to follow Brody mainly, that might be cool.
Brody man.
Jason Lee being probably the best of the actors out of anyone in those films.
Well, I mean, it had Batman, not Matt Damon, but the other one,
Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was the bad guy. He was one of the two bad guys
that worked at the douchey blazer store.
because it had Batman and it had the guy from Walking Dead. Merle was his name, isn't that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He was the dad of
the chocolate pretzel doo-doo eater guy, game show host.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I had Stan Lee, R.I.P.
McLean said in the chat there, getting over Amy, sequel to Chasing Amy would be funny. But actually, Joey Lauren Adams lives here, like in our town.
Also in
And
Mallrats.
she's come to my bar several times. We worked on a couple of movies together, so I guess we're buddies. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and Vince saying that he finally watched The Thing, getting in that spooky mood there.
Ooh. And so, John Carpenter's The Thing, mentioning out of the comments, Vince on YouTube said this, never seen it before, and he liked it. The Thing, I think, was one of the best examples of how to remake an old horror movie.
I was just about to say the remake was really bad.
No, The Thing is a remake.
Oh, I thought you meant the 2000s.
Called Thing. No. I'm talking about The Thing from Outer Space, the old 50s or whatever, black and white, which John Carpenter's The Thing was basically a remake of that, and it was good.
Yeah, but it was different enough that it was its own.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how it needs to be.
I thought you were meaning like the direct remake, like, hey, let's redo this exact same thing with the exact same story.
But call it a sequel?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it was a straight up remake.
No, it was a prequel because it ended with the dog escaping and then going to the other station and the helicopters chasing it because it was at the Russian station, and so that's when the dog in the one that we all know and love, the dog comes in. They're like, "Oh, come here, boy, what's going on?" And then they visit the other station that had been ransacked. That's how it was a prequel.
Oh,
yeah. McClane.
Well, I guess it's not that bad then, because part of it I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, I mean, it was a competent prequel. God, they're just mentioning all the movies. The Stuff, McClane mentioning The Stuff. I would watch a The Stuff remake. I think that would be really, really cool. That movie is really ridiculous. And also, I think in the latest episode of Creep Show on Shudder, there is a tiny little Easter egg where there's a freezer section. It's covered in frost, but there's a frozen little pint of the stuff. Which is really good. If you've never seen The Stuff, it's a funny little horror jaunt about this goo that everyone eats that's from space, and this like craft. There's essentially goes, oh well, it tastes good. Let's market it to the people. And then once everybody eats it, it's just like dissolving their heads and coming out of their eyeballs. It's pretty awesome. Check out The Stuff. Anyway, we haven't even covered hardly any news at all here. What else were we going to talk about? Because we do have a lot of stuff to talk about. Rip, R.I.P. Rip. Mr. Confetti Man himself,
Rip Taylor.
Rip Taylor has gone, man. He was the confetti master. I mean, that was kind of his claim to fame, like coming on talk shows and Wayne's World and like
Jackass 2 ending,
and just coming in there and throwing confetti all over everything. But he has passed away this week, and I don't know if he's going to be like missed. I mean, that's sad. I'm sure he had loved ones, but I mean, I think the world of Rip Taylor, the empire of Rip Taylor's confetti kingdom, has fallen. I don't know where I'm going with this, but you're giving me a look. You're making me uncomfortable about it. But yeah, Rip Taylor. Hey, thanks for your contributions to entertainment. We salute you. And if I had some confetti, I'd throw it. Actually, I wouldn't, because, man, picking up confetti sucks.
Yeah, he had those sticks.
If you think about it, what a butthole. Like, nobody likes picking up confetti. Like, confetti is one of those things that it's fun. You're like, yay! But then there's one dude that's like, son of a bitch, because he's the guy that has to clean that crap.
Yeah, that's been me every time.
It's working at a bar. Fun. It's not. I remember one time I went to... and I'd probably get like arrested now because everybody's so afraid of things. But we have one of these bars in town where you can get a shot in an ice shot glass, and it's like, this was fun. Here's an ounce of sugar water. Let's drink it and throw it. And, it's overly priced. And anyway, so this was several years ago, and a friend of mine, she was having a birthday, and they were with a group of people there, and I was Mr. Late to the party, and I had some of those like confetti 6-shooters that you load with like a little cartridge, and it has like 6 little holster bullets of little confetti pops. And I'm like, okay, the place where you throw shots on the ground, certainly they mop and sweep constantly because it's disgusting. But I roll in there packing double 6-shooters of confetti, and then I come in there and I'm like, happy birthday, pow, 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 pow. And I'm like the rootinest, tootinest, Rip Taylor-nest, like cowboy birthday man that ever set foot this side of the Mississippi. And I roll in, and this bouncer dude is like, what the f*** are you doing? How you son of a... And he grabs me by the...
Because it becomes sticky, and it becomes like a paste
I
on the
know,
ground
and
when
I'm
it
just
hits
like-
the water.
But it's already a paste on the ground. They're gonna have to clean that paste off the ground because it's the one place that I thought, hey, certainly they clean these but they don't.
They give you problems?
No, he was like, you realize I'm gonna have to sweep the floor now? And I was like, yeah, dude, don't you do that every night? Because look at all the slime and goo that's currently on the floor. And he's like, well, not every night if it's not that bad. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so, yeah, super disgusting. Yeah, this was years ago, but shooting confetti guns anywhere, like, because it was going pop, pop, pop. I'd probably get shot nowadays, which we'll talk about later in the show when we talk about Joker. So stick around for that. What else in the news?
They still have the cops at the movie theater when you show up because Joker's there.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. Bookmark that thought. The ridiculous need for cops at the. It reminds me. Actually, we're going to let's table that. Actually, let's not table it because I'm going to talk about it now. Remember? Well, you don't because it's October and we're going to talk about this. So I want to say it was Gordon. He did Blood Feast. It was like the director of Blood Feast, Gordon. Something. He was pretty famous for. I'm gonna look it up because I can't think of him right off the top of my head. Herschel Gordon Lewis. Herschel Gordon something. But Herschel Gordon Lewis. He did a lot of these really schlocky, stupid, like just dumb ketchup blood horror movies in the early 60s, and. He kind of in the similar vein to Ed Wood, he would make these schlocky movies that then they're bad. But there was one called Blood Feast that was, there's just all this blood. It was like supposed to be the most awful thing you've ever heard. But he had this gimmick where he would send like nurses. People dressed as doctors and nurses to like check your heart and make sure that you signed a doctor's waiver before going to see Blood Feast. And so you had to sign these waivers to get people like, oh my God, this is the most scary movie I've ever seen. There is literal physicians in the room because, we can't handle it. Pandemic. And and that's what I feel like is happening with Joker is they're like, you can't handle the insanity of this movie. We're going to have to put police there because it's inciting violence and crazy acts of insanity.
That's because of Dark Knight, bro.
No, it's because of hype. It's because
it's because of Dark Knight in Colorado.
Yeah, but then why aren't...
Yeah, it's reactive to that.
Well, then why aren't... There's been many a Batman that have come out since then. There's been many a movies about gun violence that have come out since then that warranted exponentially more police officers.
Dark Knight Rises, they had it at the beginning. But then Justice League... Superman versus
they cherry
Batman.
pick it just like the stats they do relating to that, but
it's hype.
But it's Joker specific movie, bro.
Hype, dude.
Because the last
well, here's the thing: the movie's not that violent. It's not.
No, but it has Joker. And that last time they were like, "Hey, everyone, look! It's a Joker on the big screen as a main character."
Let's shoot up the place.
Some guy did.
I don't think it was because of the Joker. Did they talk to him? No.
Yeah, they did.
And was he like, well, I wanted to be like the Joker?
I don't know if that's exactly what he said, but he dressed like him and dyed his hair and all that stuff.
Because that's how you get in there, dude.
Which is why people aren't allowed to have costumes or lightsabers at the movie theater anymore.
Exactly. There's the solution.
It's the same guy. That's why you can't go to Star Wars as a stormtrooper. No mask, no props.
It was a little bit, we'll talk the full review, but it just seemed like such a stunt. Not
that Star Wars still has the fandom that people show up in costume
Yeah, no one's
anymore.
going to bring a lightsaber to Star Wars anymore. No one cares. Everyone's like, here's the next one that we're going to get disappointed with. Oh, man. Johnny Dalton over here in the YouTube chat said, people threw fireworks in a Saturday night dollar theater showing of American Psycho. Yeah.
Okay.
So we better have some cops.
That had Christian Bale. And
did
he
have
was Batman.
He was Batman. It's 1 degree separation. Vince in the YouTube says, I talked to someone who lived in Colorado, but she said that the theater won't show any Batman sequels or spinoffs now. Hey, good for them.
Whack.
It's a little,
Whack.
I don't know. And in my review of the Joker later, we're going to talk about this. It's a systemic problem, and I don't know. We'll get there, but we're not done talking about other stuff. There's one little bit of news that I wanted to mention that I thought was kind of neat. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the comic book series Dylan Dog, but it was what loosely inspired this old 80s movie that I really, really love called De La Morte de l'Amour, or the U.S. title is called Cemetery Man, even though it didn't get much of a U.S. release. And it's about this guy that, like, basically has to kind of live in the cemetery because the dead rise, and it's his job to kind of kill him and keep him dead. But yeah, it's weird. It's a super interesting French movie. I recommend it, especially in October. Check it out, Cemetery Man, Del Norte Del More. If you've never seen it, it's a good one. Great soundtrack too. But anyway, James Wan is thinking about developing a Dylan Dog TV series, which I think is pretty cool because James Wan is pretty cool, and Dylan Dog is a neat character. They did try to do a film adaptation, which I saw. Had Brandon Routh in it. He's in the Legends of Tomorrow, isn't he? As
Adam.
Yeah.
As the Atom. And he's in the big CW Arrowverse crossover as Kingdom Come Superman.
Superman, yeah. He looks more like Superman anyway. I don't know why.
Because he was Superman in Superman Returns.
Yeah, duh.
But that was the worst Superman movie, so.
Yeah. But yeah, Brandon Routh. In the Dylan Dog movie that he was not the right cast for that, I don't think. But it wasn't terrible. But Dylan Dog's
also
a character.
In a Kevin Smith movie. He's in Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Yes, he is. This is Kevin Smith everywhere we look. We can't get away from it. But anyway, I'm curious to see how that goes. What else did I want to mention? I think that was really about all the good news I wanted to jump into. But let's talk about new movies.
Hold on. So Johnny says it wasn't Brandon Routh's fault that Superman Returns is the worst one, and you're right. It was the director. What's his name? The guy that did X-Men.
Brian
Singer. Yeah. He ruined that. And also the fact that Superman can be stabbed with a dagger of kryptonite, have kryptonite broken off because Kevin Spacey, Lex Luthor, stabs him, breaks it off inside of Superman's body. He has his one weakness that takes his strength and everything, powers away from him, stabbed into him, and then goes under the ocean, underneath an island created fully of kryptonite, and is able to lift it and fly it into space and throw it. So his one weakness, which Batman has a single ring of that can defeat Superman, instead is stabbed into him, broken off, and he lifts an entire island made out of it. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it sounds like it didn't work very well.
No, it was a terrible, dumbass movie.
I don't. I basically I remember seeing it in theaters. Now that you've mentioned it. But I erased that one from my memory completely.
Yeah, because it was bad.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's my gaggy. Super gag. Anyway, what are we doing? We need to talk about movies that are coming out this weekend. There are movies coming out this weekend, you guys. There are 2 movies coming out this weekend. This thing is just hard to... Just sit right there, little guy. 2 movies. One I don't really care too much to see, even though it's directed by Ang Lee. And Ang Lee is, I don't know. He's real hit or miss. Because, like, Life of Pi was not my jam.
Hulk is good no matter what you people out there say.
Actually, I'm going to side with you on that one. I think that Ang Lee's Hulk was not terrible.
The casting in it was spot on, and the story was lifted straight from the comic books. But for some reason, you people don't like that. So don't know what your problem is. Everyone's like, oh, but the way it was directed, it looked like comic book panels. Why would I watch a comic book movie and expect comic book things? And the dogs, oh my God, the dogs had power? Yeah, the Gamma dogs are from the comic books. Make me so fucking mad. Such a good movie. Eric Bana was a great
That
Bruce
was the
Banner.
best.
Sam
Yeah, he
Elliott terrified me as General Thunderbolt Ross, and you had old
Jennifer Connelly.
as Betty Ross. The casting was a very good movie. Nick Nolte is crazy, and that's fun.
Oh, Nick Nolte's always crazy. That's like his deal.
Yeah, and it worked. That's a good movie.
Mr. Nolte, we salute you.
And it spawned that like Hulk Rampage video game that everyone loves so much.
Oh, yeah.
Because in that movie, he like ripped the cannons and tops off of tanks and used them as clubs and beat people with them. And he had like his super jump and all of the cool things of Hulk that you never got to see before.
Thanks, Ang Lee.
Yeah, it was super sick. And then it was followed by Incredible Hulk, which was
Actually, it was followed by Brokeback Mountain, which is the next movie that Ang Lee did.
I was talking.
You're still talking comics. But no, the Gemini Man is the new one that's coming out in theaters with Will Smith. It's an aging hitman getting put up against his clone of himself. And there you go. There's the movie right there.
It looks really bad.
It does not look good at all. And I'm not excited about it. Metascore is coming out on the real low side, but I actually don't give any shits about Metascores or Rotten Tomatoes certified. Who cares? Like, all that stuff is absolute stupid.
He looks just like his character in After Earth.
Oh, the space movie with his kid?
Yeah, where it was like, here's Will Smith, but he's like dying in a spaceship for the whole movie. So you're stuck with Jaden.
Oof. Yuck.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Take this and give us Bad Boys 3 already.
It's coming. Remember, we got Sony on our ass because we didn't we played too much of that trailer or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's coming out in the theaters this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to see it. I mean, maybe I will. I don't know. I've got AMC A-list. We'll see. But the other movie that's coming out in nationwide release this week, which I think it's either going to be pretty good or it's going to be absolutely unwatchable. And that is The Addams Family. And Oscar Isaac, Charlize Theron, Chloe Moretz. It's like those.
I just don't see these people's voices fitting.
I don't either.
The characters, because like you already have an Addams Family cartoon, which outside of Raul Julia, that is the voice of Gomez. You know, that like real goofy. What was it? Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Yeah, Addams Family cartoon. Like, that is Gomez. Friggin' Doc Brown is Fester.
Yeah, he made that concrete.
60s Addams Family, just everyone from that. Because Fester from 60s Addams Family is probably more Fester for me than Doc Brown is.
But Christopher Lloyd made it his own. He really...
Sure.
He really
But
did
he was
it.
like deeper and creepier, whereas Fester in like the TV show was like
It's just goofy.
kind of like Curly from Three Stooges.
Yeah, exactly. But the Addams Family cartoon, of course, CGI, complete animated film. It's just, but here's the interesting thing about this one is this iteration of the Addams Family looks more like the Charles Addams cartoon series, like the illustrated Sunday morning cartoons, than any of them ever have. Even going to the old in the 90s animated series. And to me, that I like that because I used to have, I think I still do, an old book of like the complete Addams Family comics from Charles Addams. They're really fun. They're really great comics. And this, Sunday afternoon, one panel kind of Far Side style. but I don't know. The voices don't land with me. And
Yeah. Well, and like Johnny said, John Astin is still alive too. The original Gomez from 60s Addams Family.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't think he's gonna be like Morticia.
Yeah,
Like-
but I'm saying like he is Gomez, you know.
Yeah.
Most of the Gomezes have been like, oh yeah, that's Gomez, you know. But I don't see Oscar Isaac fitting in that group of Raul Julia and John Astin and whoever did the voice of the animated one who sounded like John Astin.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm gonna check it out. I mean, it's October. It's Addams Family.
I'll probably watch that just because I have a strong affinity for Addams Family.
Yeah. When are you gonna come play my Addams Family pinball again? Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's make an evening where we go see the movie and then we come back and play Addams Family Pinball at Pinpoint, Fayetteville, here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, 23 North Block. You can get in. Speaking of Halloween's shameless self-promotion time, the Beatbox Halloween Dance Party is quickly approaching. And get this, it's only the first week of October, and we are almost out of VIP tickets.
Oh, no.
Dude, I know there's only 13 left. And, I mean, we'll have tons of general admission, but if you want to be one of those cool people to get that exclusive stuff, you better get that ticket over at beatboxhalloween.com. I wish we could just throw that there. Hey, there it is. I was like, can we throw the graphic up there? Yeah, beatboxhalloween.com. You can check it out and get your tickets right there. And that is my baby, my big baby. I love doing that party. It's so fun. But anyway, yeah, that's what's coming out in theaters this week. And let's shift gears a little bit and start reviewing some movies. You want to talk about War?
Oh man, do I? Yes.
Then do it. Tell me about it. So the Grip went and saw War. It's in theaters, very, very limited release. If you live in a community that shows Bollywood movies, you probably got it. But if not, then you listen up. It'll probably be on demand later.
War, actually, we got it the same time, same release as they did in India, and it is actually holds the record right now for the largest opening day of any Indian film ever currently. So it beat out 2.0.
Oh, really?
And
Damn.
Bahubali and all of those. So it currently has the largest opening day in Indian cinema history, and rightfully so. Imagine if you took James Bond, Mission Impossible, the Bourne series, Taken, and Face Off, and then you just like slammed all of those together into a single movie with just the two like most handsome dudes with the best hair and dancing skills you've ever seen.
That sounds pretty incredible.
It is incredible. It's amazing. So you get all of that in a single movie, and it's that classic like mentor versus pupil showdown type thing. It starts out in the whole premise is that Tiger Shroff's character has to hunt down Hrithik Roshan's, and it's because and they're like, oh, we can't trust you to hunt him down because you love him, you look up to him, he's like your mentor. He's like, no, but I'll kill him because country first. And then you have this incredible story of spy versus spy action, and the fight sequences are awesome. If you watch Bollywood movies, you might know Tiger Roshan from his Bagi series, which is like a martial arts anthology, with the third one coming out soon. And he is starring in the lead role of Rambo remake coming out next year. It looks amazing.
He showed me the poster earlier, and it indeed does look pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, and the cool thing about that is he's teaming up with the same director of War, Siddharth Anand, who has also teamed up with Hrithik Roshan before on a lot of his bigger movies. So I mean, you got all the makings to have something awesome in the Rambo. Yeah, and man, this movie was everything. It's not quite as long as most of the Bollywood movies tend to be. It's like 2 hours 20 minutes, 2 hours 25, something like that. not a full 3 hours. So if you
Shucks.
if you don't want to sit through 3 hours of movie, you don't have to. And this one's a lot more fast paced. There's a lot of action, a lot of deception. It's fun.
So coming in from the comment section, Vince says he remembers the last Bollywood movie that you reviewed. You said the movie had every genre, but he also asks, does the new Bollywood genre just mean every genre?
Dude, you know what? It might, because most of these movies, it's like you get so much stuff slammed together, but that's what it is. Like a lot of those movies are full on entertainment, because not only do you get whatever you're there for, whatever classic genre it's going to fall under mainly, which is going to be drama, action, love story or whatever, but you get music out of it. You get some sort of crazy characters that are just all over the place. And this one is that real spy movie. Everything's deception. It goes back at the end. It hits you with all these twists, and then you're like, okay, well, that's crazy. I didn't even see that coming. And then it's like, but guess what? There's another one, and it just changes the whole movie, and it's put together so well. And the director, Siddharth Anand, is the writer, and there's something to be said about having a writer-director on a movie, because they're able to directly translate what they want onto the film that they're directing, and it really works out in a movie like this, because you get everything that they wanted and it all flows super flawless. Man, it had Fast and Furious stuff in it, everything. I mean, there wasn't one thing this movie missed. You had your strong female leads, you had your like ridiculously good looking like bad guy, like
Hell yeah.
Everything was there. All of the characters were fully fleshed out. It didn't leave you wanting for anything, and it was so much fun. If you like movies, watch it.
Movies for people that like movies.
Man, and when the dance scenes hit, I'm like, oh, these guys are so cool. Like there was not one part where I wasn't just fully entertained or just ecstatic about everything that was happening on screen.
You do love your dance scenes.
Man, have you ever watched these movies that I asked you to watch?
I have.
They're good.
They are pretty good. Pretty good.
Imagine like Bahubali, but set like modern day.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool, man. And you get, I don't know, man, it's hard to explain. You have a lot of good up-and-comers in this movie.
Up-and-comers?
That's your favorite thing.
We love up-and-comers.
Yeah, like, man, I don't know how to explain it further, because there's just so much stuff that happens in it, and it's hard to tell anything about the movie without giving away twist. But it's about like special forces who come together, and they have their differences, but they learn to trust each other, and they're hunting down this like terrorist guy whose main goal is to just ruin India. And they're like,
what a butthole.
Not gonna happen. And
it's the Delta Force of
yeah,
India.
And you get like this cool like multi-ethnic, multi-background team of people without it having to be spelled out for you, without them shoving anything in your face. So you have things like that you get in this movie that you don't get out of Hollywood movies, because Hollywood has to be like, look, here's every female Marvel character on screen at the same time. Is that enough for you? Is that enough for you? Are you choking on it yet?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
are we beyond criticism now?
Yeah, you get characters and stories, and they have backgrounds, and everything is there, but they don't force it on you, so you get to enjoy a movie and the story and the characters, and everyone's there. You have strong female leads. You have super cool hotshot dudes. You have all of the action. You have like stereotypical James Bond bad guys. You have Mission Impossible insane things, but they keep it grounded in reality, and all of the fight scenes are choreographed where it's believable and fun. But you also have a guy driving a 4x4 with a minigun mounted on the driver's door, just wiping out like 50 dudes in 5 seconds.
That's awesome.
It was awesome, because he comes like drifting around the corner, and there's all these guys shooting at him, and he just like lifts it up and like blasts them all away. It's sick.
It sounds like India is like the new renaissance of the action film. Like,
anything,
'cause
man.
The U.S. has kind of forgotten how action films work because we're too up our own asses about everything, which is something that I'm going to talk about the Joker film. It's like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, you had your spy versus spy thing. In the last movie I watched, you had like the gangster drama, like the like from within being tore apart, but it turns into like a mafia movie. Before that, I was watching ones that are like family dramas set in, like with like multi generations from the 70s to modern day. You get everything out of a Bollywood action movie or a Tamil cinema movie. They're amazing and perfect. And if you have the chance to watch this movie, go watch it. I wish I could get more into it, but there's just so much in this movie that you have to experience it as the like twist. And the fight scenes, man, they drop the sound out of it, so it's just like you're there in the fight scene. The camera all moves and like single pans. We were talking about like the cuts and takes. These are all done in like a single take.
Oh, that takes a lot of choreography.
Yeah, because the camera like moves with the guys and the objects. Everything is captured on screen, and what's not on screen is because the camera can't move fast enough to keep up. But you hear nothing but like the thuds and punches and people being thrown into objects, and it keeps it very grounded and realistic. But then you also have like miniguns on freaking Forerunners, like
so it's good.
Yeah,
you liked it.
Man, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I can't wait till it's available on video so I can just watch it all of the time.
Gonna just get it all the time.
But yeah, if you have the ability to watch some of these movies as we get them, it didn't break the record in India for opening day for no reason. It's incredible.
All right. Well, there you go. War. Apparently, it's good for entertaining the grip intensely. So you can check it out. It's playing here in Northwest Arkansas, and I think also in Little Rock. It looks like one of our viewers in the comment section said it's playing at the Cinemark in Little Rock if you're in the Little Rock listening area or wherever you're at. I know Vince up in Chicago, it's probably playing somewhere around there. It has to. But there you go. Let's see. Now we're going to talk about a movie that I saw. I saw Joker. Not the Joker, Joker. And this movie is it's dividing a nation. There are reviews of people that just can't handle it and think it's trash. There are people that are worshiping the ground that it walked on. I mean, it made all the money. It made $93 million in an opening weekend, which is incredible, A, for October, and B, for a relatively, sad, depressing, quiet, monotonous film.
I mean, that's all of the news article. Breaking records.
Oh yeah, it's making its comic book. It's doing the comic book thing, and what we need to remember here, before we go further with this, is everybody's like the Academy Award-winning performance of Joaquin Phoenix. This is a comic book movie. This is a comic book movie. This is a comic book movie based on a comic book character in a comic book world. We have to remember that this is a comic book movie.
Are you saying that comic book movies can't win awards?
Not the ones that we're making now. There are, there are stories in graphic novels and in comic books that could make amazing. I think a lot of the comic books that rely on superpowers and fun gadgets and children's toys to propel, those are never going to win Oscars, and they shouldn't. It's just a different thing. But this movie is dark. It's gritty. It's there are some good performances. There's some disturbing ideology. There is some thought-provoking scenes. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I think it is still very overhyped. I think it is blown out of proportion. It is not. In fact, this movie is not doing anything new that we haven't seen already, and I'm seeing all these people, the Scorsese verse is just like Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, because I saw another person put that in a review, and I've never even seen these movies, but it's like Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, because I want to sound like I'm a great film critic. Fuck you. Like, you haven't seen, you don't know. Everyone's missing the obvious. Falling down. This movie is falling down. Everyone's like, Fight Club was like Fight Club. It is nothing like Fight Club. There is one scene where a person that's in his head is revealed to have not been there. Spoiler alert! If you have any fucking sense, you'll catch it in the first second and go, "This isn't right."
Oh, they don't just nuke the city at the end because that's the fun Fight Club.
No, it's just
scene.
like the invisible person in his head. Just because a person's crazy and sees things on screen that aren't there, they're like, "Fight Club, dude! Don't talk about it." And it's like, guys.
Which, that's been done in Batman before, if in nothing else, at least in the Arkham Knight and Batman VR games.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of
It's really creepy in the Batman VR game.
actually, I mean, how about what's the old movie with about the talking rabbit friend Harvey? Yeah, I mean, imaginary people have been in movies for forever. Everybody's just trying to be edgy because Fight Club was edgy. You want your khaki pants? Like every frat bro, frat bros are gonna flock to this movie because it's the Joker. But here's the thing: is some people are like, "Oh, this movie's boring." It's not boring. It's a character study. It's a movie about an origin story to a character that never had one, or never really had a deep one. It wasn't until the 90s or the late 80s when they did The Killing Joke, which kind of attempted in a comic format to give the character sort of an origin. But Joker's never really had an origin story because I think an origin story takes away his power. It kind of takes away what makes him scary and what makes him a formidable opponent.
Joker has had an origin story on film
but I'm talking
times.
Yes, no, actually, yeah.
Because there's a whole DC animated movie,
and even the Michael Keaton Batman film.
Yeah, he was the
guy that
mobster at the beginning,
and but he's never had an official canon. This is how the Joker was made.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's always been the guy that falls into the chemical vat, but you don't know who he was beforehand. So if that's what you're meaning,
right?
Then
it's like, why is he so crazy? Why is he doing these things? Why is what makes this guy tick? And I think that Todd Phillips. I will say that everyone's like, no one could have made this movie with Todd Phillips. I'm like, get the hell out of here. Todd Phillips has made nothing but garbage since the 90s. I mean, Road Trip, Starsky and Hutch, The Hangover, The Hangover 2, The Hangover 3.
What you got against Starsky and Hutch movie? It was fun, man.
And now Joker. The dude is not an auteur. The dude makes broke bromedies and... and it just seemed natural that he would take on this role. But then I was like, whoa, hey, this is kind of an homage to a lot of early gritty people losing their shit against the system movies. And, that's where The Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy come in. And Robert De Niro plays a very important role in this film, where he basically plays the opposite role of that he played in King of Comedy, which is the talk show, TV show host that he idolizes, that kind of makes fun of him. And all this happens in The Joker. I mean, it's the same plot as King of Comedy and Taxi Driver, where Robert De Niro is just keeps having a worse and worse day, and he's like, I'm gonna go kill the rich a-hole that put me in this position. And the one thing that really just made that, yes, falling down, that's what I said earlier. The thing that made this thing really weird for me was the whole and I need to go look into this because I'm not familiar with psychological disorders that well, but he has a psychological disorder where he just bursts into uncontrollable laughter when he's stressed or angry or scared or whatever. It's when he gets very emotional, he just kind of starts nervous laughing. And watching Joaquin Phoenix do this, where it's watching someone that's clearly in pain and not wanting to laugh, but not being able to control laughing. It was actually a pretty great performance, but it just seemed weird. It's like, okay, well, we got to give it a reason for him to be laughing all the time. He got hit on the head a lot when he was a kid or something, and now he's just like laughs all the time. And that was just kind of forced. But the thing that I did like about it is I liked that it was boring, because the movie wasn't about the Joker. It was about the problems and this is kind of what Joker really represents as a thematic device, and not as just a character, the clown prince of crime. But what he really embodies as an interesting character is that there's that in everyone. Like that, I've had a bad day. Everybody's like driving down the street and someone cuts you off and you're like, man, if I could just run over that piece of shit. Everybody has these thoughts, you know? Shut up. You don't have. Tell me that you haven't thought about thumping someone's skull against the wall when they talk to you in the bathroom.
No, is that...
And you're just...
I was having a hard time remembering what Falling Down is. Falling Down, the one with like
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, Michael Douglas, and he just has the terrible day, and someone does cut him off in traffic. He's like, that's it,
and he kills them.
Yeah,
and then he starts killing everyone.
Yeah,
you know, he's like in line at Hardee's, and they're getting his order wrong, and he's like, you know, and his wife left him, and he lost his job. Like, no, it's great.
Okay, now I remember what that movie is.
Yeah,
it took you being like cut off in traffic. I was like. Now
but you know, and that's what makes this movie kind of interesting, is because the Joker in this movie doesn't really do much. He only kills like 2 people, 3 people maybe, and not even in any more violent ways than we've ever seen the Joker kill someone ever in any other film adaptation. Hell, Mark Hamill's Joker is scarier and has done creepier things, but never actually killed anybody on screen. There's always the implied that, oh, well, somebody fell in acid, you know,
melting people's faces with acid flowers, hitting them with mallets, feeding them to the hyenas, beating Jason Todd to death with a crowbar, shooting Barbara Gordon and others.
Yeah, I mean, he's done it before. But the thing that I found interesting as an origin story to a character that we've never really seen had an origin story is, you know, I've seen complaints from people going like, he just didn't seem meticulous and calculated like Heath Ledger's. It's like, get out of here with that crap. None of it, you know, yes, the eventuality of the Joker that we all know is like the fleshed out character version is like, yeah, he's insane, but he always has kind of a good plan. But he also doesn't ever have a really good plan. He's just crazy.
Do you know how much I absolutely despise of horror and hate
the Heath Ledger Joker?
Yes, and that's the one that everyone's like, now that's the Joker.
No,
I'm like,
wrong. And you know, the thing that I liked as an origin story, it's like, okay, well, we're starting with an undeveloped character, and we're going to develop him to the thing that we all know. So how do we find a place to start? And you know, you don't just come out of the womb this meticulous brainchild of clown prince of crime, but you slowly see this evolution of a guy that is like, wait, my life is so freaking awful, and everything is terrible, and I've been beaten down by this institution. The one thing that makes me happy because I'm insane and I'm discovering my insanity is doing these horrible things. And it releases me, and it makes me feel free, and it makes me feel powerful. And then you can see the beginning of what will lead to an addiction. It's like, yeah, we didn't see it on screen. We saw the beginnings of what could lead to this character really becoming a tool for, you know, Gotham's destruction.
So the trailer kind of made it look like it had a bit of like a revenge movie plot to it, kind of like a Death Wish type thing, where like guys are being mean to him on the trains and stuff like that.
Well, it was an accident. Like people, he gets most of the violence in the movie is people against him, like beating him and kicking him, because just like the Joker, he's kind of a weak butthole. You know, like Batman kicks his ass the moment he gets grabbed. I mean, it's like, well, he's like me. It's like, I'm not going to fight. I'm terrible at fighting. Like, you're going to punch me in the... I'll probably take several punches, but I'm probably not going to fight back. Because the Joker's never known for just, like, fisticuffs, you know? He's just... he might get 1 or 2 in there, and then he's like, oh, crap, I lost a tooth again. And in this, he gets beat up in this movie over and over and over, but there's the point where he's got this gun and then he kills these dudes, and then he inadvertently sparks this sort of news media like bonanza.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like if it could be like if Death Wish, but like goes wrong. Like the guy is actually like not a good person and not protecting people instead.
Exactly.
Kind of
it's just someone that killed people and that were just all happen to be awful people. And the city really rallied around this action that he did, and it wasn't until the city took it into this movement that the character, our protagonist, I hate it when people are calling him the hero. It's like, guys, maybe this is the problem that people are having with the Joker movie, is that it's inspiring violence. Joker's not a hero. Joker's not someone we root for. We could sympathize with the character in a certain situation. We can see what propels him to make these decisions. But this is a character that we shouldn't idolize.
Sometimes the main character of a movie can be a bad guy.
Yes, and that's what this is not all characters. And this is the problem I have with comic book movies, is not all characters have to be good guys that make interesting movies. Tell stories that are interesting.
Yeah, like Lobo. He's not a good guy. Tell that story.
But the anti-hero is still not even a good phrase, because a lot of those times those people become heroes. But you can follow the story of a bad guy doing bad things and him not be like Silence of the Lambs is kind of a good. He's not the hero of the movie, but he is the central focus of the movie, Hannibal Lecter. And you never once go, "Yay, Hannibal, kill some more!" But you watch this, and he is the protagonist of the film.
Yeah, like American Psycho.
Yeah.
Or Fight Club. These are not good people.
But movies like American Psycho and Fight Club, people start rooting for them because I think it appeals to a certain bro-y audience. And and so this movie is weird because it's not the most amazing movie in the world, but it's doing something really different with comic book character. And for better or for worse, I think it's a nice departure from this Marvel sort of like recipe that we're following. It is probably the best DC movie to make or to date.
You're saying it's better than Wonder Woman?
Leaps and bounds. Yes.
That's big.
And so it is a very well made movie, and the boring parts are boring for a reason. It is not supposed to be about bank heists and gunfights and all of this stuff. It's about watching someone descend into madness. It's kind of like 1 Hour Photo. Have you ever watched 1 Hour Photo? It's Robin Williams
being creepy,
and you see this slow descent into madness. And what were you had a thought there?
Is it better than Man of Steel?
Yeah,
because Man of Steel is like one of those movies where a lot of people are like, it's not the Superman I wanted because it's not colorful, but it's like actually pretty good. And like, Superman killed someone. It's like, it happens from time to time.
Man of Steel is all right.
I mean, I'm saying Man of Steel wasn't so bad.
It wasn't that bad.
Also, Russell Crowe as Jor-El was kind of cool.
Yeah, he was kind of cool. But yeah, so this movie, I don't know. It was pretty good as a character study, and I think that the thing that makes this movie fall a little bit is confining it to the universe of Gotham that we understand, because you can't. If they had just left Bruce Wayne out of it completely, because you see several scenes with little Bruce and he's there, and it keeps making you think like, oh, eventually he's going to have a bat suit and they're going to fight and he's going to have and it's like weird, and you don't want to think about that.
But if it puts it in the world of Gotham as any comic book reader would understand it as that Gotham, then Thomas and Martha Wayne are a gigantic part of that. Even in like the Batman Begins movies,
and Thomas
Wayne
like is the center focal point of this movie.
He has to be. I mean, in anything that precedes Bruce Wayne in anything Gotham is either going to be Solomon Grundy, which would be a sweet movie to make. Get on that. You want to talk about Gotham with no Batman? Get into like 1800s Gotham, Solomon Grundy. Do it. But anything other than that, you're going to have to focus on Thomas and Martha Wayne, because they are the ones that started to make Gotham like a place to be, created infrastructure for it. They were top tier celebrities that were good to the people, even though they were
rich buttholes,
yeah,
which is what this
super-
illustrated them to be, is like the 1%. And that's where this movie, I think, is where people are going, oh, this is a terrifying movie, because like I said in the review of Rambo, it's like people are putting too much of their own worldview and injecting it into this, because there is a little bit of that to say, because we live in a world where gun violence is real. Kids are going to school and doing shooter drills. Like, that's normal. There are cops in there because they're afraid that someone's going to shoot up a theater. And the solution that we keep giving is, oh, it's a mental health issue. It's a mental health issue. But we're not even addressing mental health issues either. It's just like this, put it away. And this movie kind of deals with that. It's like, look, here's mental health issues with people that have access to violent tools. And what are we going to do? What does this say about people? What does this say about all of us?
Does that not kind of establish the Arkham mentality that exists there in friggin' Gotham and the DC universe, where they're like, oh, we realize that this person is basically a mass murderer and a domestic terrorist, and they kill hundreds yearly, but they can be saved. So put them in a mental institute instead. That's always been a big problem with DC.
Well, I think it's because they need to have characters keep coming back that don't have superpowers. Yep. So that's a plot device. But yeah, it was kind of an interesting idea of what's happening right now and what could become a product of it. There's one line that I thought was very, very well delivered, and it was at the crescendo of the film where Joker has now adopted this persona of Joker. And he wants to go on TV just like Joker always does. Joker, the character, is always obsessed with being on TV, being a show host, being all this kind of stuff. And he got on the show, and he was saying this little diatribe to the host of the show about, like, what do you expect? He's like, you cut funding, because he's like, I was getting help and now the funding's gone, and everyone's an asshole and everyone's mean, everyone beats everybody down except for these rich people, blah 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 blah, and I'm getting crushed, ground into the dirt, and then you cut this and cut that, and there's nothing for me, and I'm invisible, and what do you expect? And he's just like, I'm the product of this, and then I don't want to spoil the one thing that is a spoiler, but he delivers this message just like, what did you think would happen from the product of all of this stuff that sucks so bad? And I think that that's something that we need to look at even in this country is, everybody's like, look at these mass shooters, it's all white guys, fuck white guys. It's like, well, why is it? What's happening to these people? If you want to tackle a mental health issue, why are these people having these problems? Let's figure that one out. Let's figure out. He's giving me these looks, but but really, it's like it's really easy to just go, it's because they suck. But why? If we want to solve a problem, we need to look at the causes for the problems. And it got me thinking about that. And I think that maybe that's a good thing, or maybe I'm just weird and I think about things differently. But I hope that other people start thinking about things like that, because I thought that line was very powerful. Because what do you expect because you put people through this stuff and then you expect them to come out the other end like being just as civil and level-headed as the rich, like affluent people, and that's not how it works. So I don't know. This movie, it's worth seeing. It really is worth seeing. I have a lot of complaints about it, but I have a lot of praises for it, and I didn't think I was going to have many praises for it because I'm not a big fan of cinematic Jokers. He's still not Mark Hamill.
Can't top him.
You can't top Mark Hamill. So there you go.
Cesar Romero was around before Mark Hamill,
but Mark Hamill, he's the one.
But he based a lot of his character on the character that Cesar Romero had
Oh,
created
absolutely.
for TV, because Cesar Romero was portraying Joker before Joker became the Joker that you know Joker as, and he altered how they did him in the comics and him becoming a main villain and main character, because in the 60s Joker was nothing. He was a nobody. He was on the same level as Quilt Man and any of the other
King Tut.
yeah, the villains that you probably saw
Clock
in Lego
King.
Batman and didn't know existed. Calendar Man.
Calendar
You know,
Man.
things like that. And then as the 70s progressed, they're like, maybe make Joker more of kind of like a guy. And he's like, boners and pies. And everyone's like, boners doesn't mean wieners right now. It means jokes. And then in the 80s, he got like kind of dark because comics did. And then Mark Hamill portrayed him after that. But Cesar Romero helped to craft who the Joker is, due to his influence of the character portrayal on TV.
It's true. It's true. But he made it. He
But Mark Hamill's the voice that you hear when you...
He's the one that just made it. Cyborg Man over on YouTube said, great movie, wouldn't call it Joker, though. I would. I absolutely would. I think you just tuned in early before we were talking about some of the other Jokers.
It's not quite like Excalibur, where it would have been a pretty good movie if they wouldn't have named it Excalibur.
It's the thing...
Or King Arthur, that's what I mean.
The reason why I would call it Joker is what I think you missed in the conversation is the fact that this is like... I can picture the Joker that we all know happening later. Like he you know, even the dance, the Joker dance, he did I gave it life. It was a thing that all the Jokers do, but it kind of gave a reason and purpose to it. You know, it was, you slowly see him sort of figure out this kid. And yes, we didn't see on screen the Joker that we think we all know, and we all like, but you see the foundation of what could become that. And so I thought it was good for that reason.
What year is this supposed to take place? Like 82?
81. Yeah. 81. I mean, there was some hints. There was some movies that were playing that were huge hints.
Prince had just hit the scene.
Yeah. So,
could Prince have written a bat dance?
Party man. Yeah. So, you know, you also see this Joker, you know, because of the Joker that we all know and kind of are accustomed to, is comfortable in mental institutions. He's okay just hanging out there for years in Arkham, just being like, well, eventually I'll get out of here. And so, you know, to Cyborg Man's comic, he's the rehab Joker. All Jokers are the rehab Joker because they're criminally insane.
You know what? Last week we talked about Clayface. And I can't remember why I was seeing it or what was going on, but there was a video clip of Batman fighting Clayface inside of Arkham or Blackgate or whatever prison they were in, and all of the other villains were there, and everyone's like, hey, let me out of the thing. And Clayface was fighting Batman, and he was beating Batman, you know, and he was letting all the other villains out, and Joker was the only one that wasn't like, hey, let me out. He was just like rooting for one or the other and making jokes the whole time. He didn't care if he was there or not. He was just like, hey, this is where I am. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, that's in theaters right now. You can check it out. If you haven't already, it seems like everybody has because it's made all the freaking money in the universe. But speaking of money, we need to go over the box office roundup because we are almost out of time. So it's time to show where we give you the top 10 movies in America as they have made money. We'll start with number 10 when we go way up to number 1. These are all domestic totals only, which means here in the United States, for people who don't know how to Google what words mean.
You know what? It's worth pointing out that Lion King finally fell out of top 10.
Thank God. It's still in over 1,000 theaters nationwide, but geez Louise, 12 weeks? Get it out of here. But let's start with number 10. Somehow, number 10, still in theaters, somewhere out there, Good Boys from Universal, bringing in another almost $1 million, 890,000, which is pretty low for the top 10. Usually everything gets at least $1 million, but 8 weeks out, $20 million budget, brought in $82 million at the box office. And number 9...
War.
That's right. It's the movie that we just reviewed, or the Grip just reviewed earlier. Brought in $1.6 million in only 300 theaters.
How about that? In the top 10 in only 300 theaters.
That's pretty impressive, dude.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's a good movie, man.
And it's pretty good. So it brought in, in its total run, since it got a little early opening, it's brought in over 2.1 million in its run so far.
In the U.S.
In the U.S. only. Number 8, Rambo Last Blood, which we reviewed on last week's episode, if you want to check that out. Or no, it was the week before. We reviewed Ad Astra last week. So 2 weeks ago, you can check out that episode of the Drive-In Speakerbox. From Lionsgate, bringing in $3.5 million in its third week in release. $50 million budget, still only at $39.8 million. But domestically, it's doing okay, so it has paid for itself, and it is in the green, or the red, or the black, or whatever. It's in the good color. Number 7, Ad Astra, dropping to the number 7 spot. Third week in release from Fox, bringing in $4.1 million, bringing it up to $43.2 million. Number 6, Judy, bringing in $4.5 million in its second week in release, getting a huge bump from last week, opening up in almost 1,000 new theaters, bringing in $9 million at the box office, and doing all right.
Yeah, which we have that available here.
Yep. Number 5, It Chapter 2 from Warner Brothers, bringing in $5.3 million in its fifth week in release, so far bringing it up to $202 million. Number 4, Hustlers from STX, bringing in 6.3, still up there in its fourth week in release. $20 million budget, brought it in $91.4 million.
Don't even
I thought you were going to go see it.
No.
I thought you were. Yeah,
No.
we talked about it. You said, I, the Grip, solemnly swear that I'm going to go see this movie because I cannot stop thinking about it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
I think that was a direct verbatim quote.
No.
Number 3, Downton Abbey, still up there. Number 3, it opened up in 158 more theaters this week from Focus Pictures, bringing in $7.9 million in its third week, up to $73.6 million in its domestic run so far. And the number 2 movie in America, Abominable. Abominable from Universal, bringing in
still did it.
Abominable, bang bang, abominable, chicka up some the Yeti. I don't know how that song goes. $11.9 million in its second week in release. $75 million budget, brought in $37.7, and the number 1 movie in America with an insane $96 million at the opening weekend. Warner Brothers raking it in with Joker.
And that was a minimum early release, Thursday night. No Wednesday opening, anything like that.
No, and that is surprising. I was not expecting that. I mean, I should have expected that much. I didn't expect it to be that close to $100 million. So, yeah, because I don't have budget information for it, but I know it was less than $100 million to make that movie. So there you go. That's your top 10. That's what's going on. And next week, probably going to be talking about Addams Family, which is coming out in theaters. And I doubt we'll see Gemini Man, but who knows? You never know what we're going to do here on the Drive-In Speakerbox. We might surprise you. So anyway, find us on your social medias, facebook.com and youtube.com/the Drive-In Speakerbox. Boom. You got another thought there, Griff?
Oh, yeah. As you watch the Ghostbusters 35th anniversary of Fathom event, you can still catch that sometime this week. It's probably showing Wednesday, I think.
I did a double feature with Joker and Ghostbusters, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Check Fathom events. There's always something cool going on, including Aliens, Ghostbusters, and Jay and Silent Bob. So
that's right.
Always do that. So
and don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Share it. You can take us on the go, and we will see you guys next week.
See ya.